Hello there. My name's Bando. This is Breakfast with Bando, and you've joined me for my third video, or third episode of a introduction to the heresy. And today I'm going to be going over the greatest force in the Imperium, the most appreciated, the best siege warfare, the guys you'd really want in your corner if you were about to be attacked. I am, of course, talking about the Imperial Fists. I'm not that enthusiastic about the Imperial Fists compared to some creators here on YouTube, but hey, that's not a slight. I just, even now, kind of shocks me to think that I have an Imperial Fist army, as I never saw myself being an Imperial Fist collector. But I now have a 70 or 80 man strong collection of Imperial Fists, and this isn't the first time we've seen them. In the first episode I actually brought out some Imperial Fists, and I do apologise for the awful quality of some of these photos. I just have a phone to use, I don't have a camera, and I absolutely suck at photography. So please bear with me, I will endeavour to improve as I go along. So yeah, the Imperial Fist you've seen before was some of the mixed armoured late war tactical marines in a sort of mixture of Mark III all the way through to Mark VII armour. But this time we're going to be taking a look at someone a little bit chunkier. The HQ of the entire army, my Praetor, his command squad, and his veterans, in a suit of armour that isn't taken very often by anyone in the heresy. And that's the Indomitus Terminator armour. Now there's very good reasons most people don't take this armour. It's not that great. It's rather middling in its performance, and it has no special rules. So you're not as tough as Cataphracti armour, and you're not as fast and agile as Tartarus armour. So for the money you're spending, and there is no cost as far as I remember to upgrade to any other form of Terminator armour, there's almost no reason to ever take these Terminators. Which is probably why they've got rid of this Terminator armour mark in the next version of the heresy. Tell me you're salty without actually telling me you're salty. Yeah. Like I said, I've got about 50 Terminators in Indomitus army for this army alone, so if I can't take them, I'm going to be really miffed. But here's a quick overshot of the army, and you can see it's got 4 squads of Terminators. There's 2 characters and a dreadnought, so it's not a huge army. I don't remember the exact points cost for this, but it's not a massive army, and I believe this one I designed mostly for Zone Mortalis. So the first thing you'll notice about most of them is that they're not armed with combi bolters or storm bolters, because storm bolters weren't around during the time, and every single Terminator kit you can currently get your hands on comes with storm bolters, which is a pain in the backside, because a lot of them are actually moulded onto the arms. They're not separate like you would get with bolters or bolt pistols, so you do have to do a bit of surgery. And each of them is equipped with a Volkite, and this I feel is one of the good ways of making these guys look like they belong in 30k, rather than just a 40k Terminator armour. Unfortunately, Games Workshop sells a single plastic Volkite, which comes on the Tartarus Terminator kit. And at nearly 40 quid a box, I'm not buying 20 odd boxes of Terminators for one model. Yeah, Forge World don't do it. They do it on a couple of kits, such as the Alpha Legion Praetor. And again, it's not really worth it. You can pick them up on bits websites like Bits and Kits, but you are looking at sometimes £1.50, £2.50 for just the gun, because they are quite rare. So I managed to get my hands on a 3D printable one, and I just kept knocking them out. They're not the greatest quality, I'll be honest, and I'm probably going to be snapping these all off, these guys, at some point, and replacing them with a nicer one I found. So the first squad we're going to look at is just a Volkite Power Fist squad. You can see the first guy here He's got this lovely pose. I love building models. Building models is absolutely my jam. Games Workshop could tell me tomorrow that they were never going to release rules ever again, and not a single tear would be shed as long as I still had access to the models to build. So I've got his Volkite here, and I've posed him in a kind of almost, gun shooter pose. He's got like all the weight on his back foot. And I've used for this squad and for a lot of these Terminators the Deathwing kit. It's one of the best Terminator kits. It's got the most parts, the most customization, and you don't need to remove too much of the details. A lot of them fit with other armies. There's a couple of details you do need to file away and smooth out. And these guys do have purity seals on them. And I know some people are going to be screaming in the comments about the purity seals and the cruxes on the shoulder pads. So I'll say it now, and I will say it once. I won't repeat it in another video. Cruxes are absolutely fine on Terminators, on anyone, because according to multiple sources throughout the fluff, cruxes have always been just a random award. They're a medal. The Crux Terminatus is a very specific one, only worn by Terminators, and was created after the heresy. There's nothing wrong with having the cruxes on some of the shoulder pads, especially for Terminators, because it does indicate they are a veteran and experienced force. I've removed several of them, quite a lot of them, but the few I've added, I like to keep them in different colours to indicate they are different medals. These are, this is gold stars, silver stars, bronze stars. They're your Victoria Crosses, those sorts of things. And the same as with the Purity Seals. Marines in the Heresy, a lot of them took Oaths of Moment. And the longer the war went on, the bigger those oaths became, so the longer they'd be wearing them. The fluff for this group is that they are always making oaths, and they never remove them. They just keep piling them on top of each other because that's who they are. They just want to keep setting that bar a little bit ahead of themselves. So yeah, everyone always mentions the cruxes, and it's starting to grind. The second guy in the squad is a second Power Fist guy, and you can see here he's again made from parts of the Deathwing kit. He's got a Deathwing Terminator torso, and I believe the legs are from the regular Terminator kit. And then I throw in little bits of other kits. You can see on both of these guys, I've actually used the Primaris Aggressor pads for them. I think they fit. They're good. They've got the embossed Imperial Fist logo on them, and they fit the Terminators nicely. They look a bit kind of like Mark III shoulder pads, but cut down. And I bet some people are probably going to have a problem with them, but that's okay. It's your hobby, so do what it is. Do what you want with them. The next guy in the stack is the Sergeant, and he's actually made from the Terminator Captain kit that was readily available in the Start Collecting box, along with the only plastic Tartarus Volkite and a strap on his Volkite, which comes from a Stormbolter. The head and arms are actually from a limited edition Captain, and they indicate he's got a grenade harness because he has a grenade launcher on his Power Fist, which is a throwback to sort of the earlier Rogue Trader 2nd edition days. There was Terminators with grenade launchers on their fists. This was actually one of the very first, I think if the first Imperial Fist miniature I painted for this army, and was more of a kind of one-off. I just wanted to paint an Imperial Fist in Dominatus Terminator for 30k. And then I really enjoyed it, and ended up collecting an entire army. So if you do get that feeling that you just, I really want to try painting an Emperor's Children, or I want to paint a White Skull, go for it. Just grab a model, just give it a go, because you never know, you might actually realise you really, really enjoy that scheme. And it could spawn an entirely new army. Which I'm sorry for your wallet. I really do apologise. Next guy is another Volkite guy. I've also given this guy the Vexella to just make it a little bit more 30k-ish. We've got lots of Maltese crosses, random decals. I throw decals on everything because if you look at a lot of the 30k artwork, you'll see these guys have got all sorts of personal heraldry, awards, warning markers, all sorts. So yeah, he's wearing a number 4 on his shin, but that doesn't mean he's part of the 4th Legion. It might be that, it's 4th Squad, 4th Company. It could just be that he is number 4 in the squad. And again, Volkite and Power Fist. I also like to give my Terminators a lot of kit around their waists. Grenades, pouches, that sort of thing, because it does bulk them out a little bit. And I think that's one of the sort of weaknesses of a lot of Games Workshop's models, is they're a bit too thin in places like the waist. They don't actually look like they should have someone inside the suit of armour. And lastly, we have a Flamer and Chain Fist. This guy's very heavily made from parts from the Deathwing kit. The legs, the torso, I think the helmet and the armour are all Deathwing kits. Then he's got parts from the Imperial Fist upgrade sprue, which is on the shoulder, the tilt shield, and a Tartarus heavy flamer. Using the weapons from the Tartarus and Cataphracti kit really does sort of tie them back into 30k, make them look a little bit more sort of uniform. You can't really make it out very well, but I've also done sort of checkers on his knee pads. I've used the red as the spot colour here, just to make things a little bit more interesting. Accompanying the Terminators, I have a Castaferum Dreadnought, armed with 2 Volkites. There's a bit of a theme here. This is just the Dreadnought from the old Assault on Blackreach kit, which came out when I worked for Games Workshop, so it's a long time ago. The arms are printed. They came from Red Warden Miniatures. And he's just got a couple of extra Imperial Fist upgrades dotted on him. And that's it. It's a cheap and cheerful, just a bit of a heavy punch. But something, again, you don't see very often because probably Games Workshop doesn't create the kit. And, yeah, I think it looks great. I think he's just got this really nice silhouette. He looks like a tunnel fighting sort of guy. He's very squat. Yeah, I love Boxnauts. If you watch my last video, you realise I love Dreadnoughts. I have all the Dreadnoughts. I will continue to buy more Dreadnoughts. I think I have about 15 in total now. I have a problem. Send help. The second Terminator squad is very similar to the first. This one actually used a lot more parts from the standard Terminator kits. And you can see here this first guy on the right. Nothing major has actually been done to him. I've just built his base up to be some stairs. Tilted the torso slightly to give him that look that he's walking up the stairs and maybe he's heard something behind him and he's spun around to shoot it. Having your models be able to be posed like this is fantastic. Having the torsos and legs one piece like with the new Beaky Marines is going to make conversions, or even just assembling your models like this, I wouldn't even consider this too much of a conversion. It's going to make it almost impossible. And I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that little extra bit of movement you can make, those few degrees are huge. Because at that scale, those few degrees we're moving is 10 or 12 inches worth of movement, which is a lot of movement. I mean, you twist your torso around and how much it changes your position. Yeah, having that extra movement, having the posable heads, having posable torsos, legs, arms and all that, it makes your army unique. Sure, it's going to look like everybody else's Space Marine army, but it's going to be your army. Same with the guy next to him, just posed up to look sort of menacing, given grenades and parts from the Imperial Fist upgrade sprue. I painted the tilt shield to be in the colours of the Executioners. Maybe this guy at some point served next to Fafnir Ran in the Assault Company. And I freehanded on the axes as well. I quite like him. I also like that these guys are very dirty. They're chipped, they're worn. I use only 2 colours for the yellow, which is Balor Brown and then Avalon Sunset. And then I wash it all down with a oil wash. yeah, so for me, the yellows are actually quite easy to paint. I don't... A lot of the harder colours, black, yellow, white, black, yellow, white, I find really easy to paint for some reason. Colours like red and green, I kind of struggle with, green especially. So it's a quick overview of just the whole squad. I've been using these 3 bits of terrain far too much for photos in the last couple of days. Here's the next 2 members. So I've got a sergeant here who's armed with a thunderhammer. He's actually got a thunderhammer storm shield. The fluff is that's sort of aria tech he's carrying, and it's sort of a bit like a localized refractor field. Sorry. His banners come from the old Black Templar sprue. I used a lot of parts from the old Black Templar sprue. If you can get your hands on it, it is absolutely fantastic. There's so many bits in there. And the guy next to him is carrying a Reaper autocannon, which comes from the old Chaos Terminator kit. Because they had Reaper autocannons. You don't see too many Reaper autocannons flying around these days. Especially on Imperial Fists, who've got access to the assault cannon. There's very little reason to take one. And the entirety of this army was to take stuff that people don't normally take. And the last guy, Chained Fist again, and a Volkite, just covering the back of the squad. Pretty plain, this guy. Yep, and then you've got some 3D printed Sons of Horus bits in front of him, because this army is set on Mars alongside or opposite my Sons of Horus force. The fluff of the 2 forces was supposed to be a battle over the Mark 7 prototype facility. So the third squad's a little bit different from the other ones, and they are armed with lightning claws. And I love this guy in the middle, the squad leader. He's made from the lightning claws character from the second Space Marine Heroes kit, which I bought far too many of those at £7 a Terminator. Yeesh. Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a nice mixture of the classic Terminator lightning claws and the newer style lightning claws, which sit on top of the fist. And I'm trying to tell a story with each model, who they are, make them different, because they are all individuals. Each Space Marine is he's a warrior king, if someone says. They're all unique models and all unique people. And this squad, I did finally go a bit, OTT, and I did add an assault cannon, but I stuck it in the squad which would fight in close combat, because I like to suffer. I just like this pose, this is great. Again, another model from the Space Marine Heroes kit. If you can get Space Marine Heroes, they are lovely. Great Terminators, a little bit bigger than the other ones, but just some absolutely fantastic models, like brilliant sculpts. Now, following along is a Primus Medicae, and unlike the White Scars one you saw in the last video, this Primus Medicae is wearing Terminator armour. And I used a lot of decals on this guy. I just picked out random details. I couldn't find a fists icon small enough to fit somewhere, so it is just wings, skulls, there's a blood drop on his shoulder pad, there's numbers all over the place. And these parts are taken from the Deathwing kit and the Command Squad kit. The arm is from a Tartarus Terminator, the swords Grey Knights, and I think the legs and torso are... the legs and torsos are a Space Marine Hero Series 2. And then the gubbins on the shoulders, or on his back, that's all from the Deathwing Apothecary Terminator kit. You can see a better shot there, the same with his arm. Yeah, you can see that it's very chipped, heavy, chipping. Use a sponge for that and then a brush afterwards. Next up we have the Command Squad. I was making Huskarls before Huskarls were a thing. Yeah, I like Huskarls. A lot of these guys are all taken from the Space Marine Heroes kit. The axes are made from Thunderhammers with the heads from some of the dwarf kits. And again, these guys I really wanted to make each one look individual. And they're guarding my Praetor, who he goes by the name Canto Casaria. Now, I know this isn't a game legal miniature because he has kind of a Paragon Blade and a Power Fist, but that's just what I built him as. And the body again is from the same limited edition captain who lent his arms to the first sergeant. A great model, real shame that it wasn't released for general consumption. And I have added the power sword, which has come from the Deathwing kit. And behind him is his standard bearer, which is just part of the command squad. You get one in part of this command squad. He's not actually a herald. And you can really see on the right, you can see the nice detailing on the axe. I like the dwarf axes because, I mean, the term Huskarl is an English word, but it actually means house guard. It is an old Saxon word. So I like the sort of Celtic, Saxony knotwork on the axes. So that is my Imperial Fist Terminator army, or part of it at least. And I wanted to just show that off with a little bit of who they are and sort of what an army can look like if you're not playing to win again. I will eventually show off my Thousand Suns. I know I did promise to show my Thousand Suns off today, but I'm just not in the mood. Don't have the terrain to really show them off how they look. But I'm working on that. I'm just starting some Prospero themed terrain today. Hopefully I should have that in place tomorrow. If I don't, I might throw together a video on something like a really small 500 point Sons of Horus army. Sort of, yeah, I think I'll do that. Because I love small games. Small games, 500 points, 750 points, they're great. Really fast, you don't get bored. And they make you make some really interesting decisions. You can't rely on Death Star units. Okay. Everyone who subscribed, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Everyone who comments, I it's great. I love it. Please continue to do so. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments or drop me a message. I will happily answer anything. You can come and bully me on Instagram. The link is in the description below. If you want to tell me I'm wrong, you want to tell me how awful my cruxes are and I've got too many purity seals and my painting sucks and I can't take a photograph, please do come tell me. I am more than happy to ignore you. Right. My name is Bando. This has been Breakfast with Bando. I hope I haven't spoiled your Wheaties. Alright, go get dressed and get ready for school, champ. Catch you later.